center of screen. Speech off.
Hey everybody, it's Beverly at Bama Blind and welcome back. I'm sitting in my courtyard and you can see or hear my fountain, which is right in front of me, and maybe a distant air conditioner compressor from the neighbor's house. But the thing that you can most hear in this video is the thing that the video is about. I don't know if you can hear the cicadas. There's the bird chirping, which is kind of unusual for this time of day because it's almost sunset. But the cicada, and there's more than one, they just happen to be kind of quiet right now, if you can consider that loud, almost a chirping noise, quiet. But the cicada is what I want to focus this video on, and its effect on me and what I have done to change the way I perceive that noise. I have always just been completely repulsed by the noise of cicadas. Here in the South, not only do we get dreadfully hot summers, but we also get the cicada season, and that starts around the first or middle part of July and goes through mid-August when the cicadas, I guess, are in season. But you can hear it. It's so loud. I think I read somewhere where you can hear them for up to 2 miles away. Now, I'm pointing my camera at my magnolia tree, and that particular cicada is probably 15 feet, 20 feet off the ground, because I can hear that the noise is coming from way up. But the point of this video is I have always hated the noise of cicadas as a child, as an adolescent, as an adult. And most recently, I realized that about this time of year as well, I start feeling really down, depressed, lethargic, melancholy, and this has gone on for several years. I've talked to my doctor about it, and it's not a major depression, but it's definitely something that I experience every single year at this time. Part of it is kind of like seasonal affective disorder, but in the summertime, because it's just so hot, humid, and unbearable during the majority of the day here in Alabama. And I know you've seen my videos if you've watched the channel, and hopefully you have, where Gretchen and I go walking in the early morning just to avoid the heat because it's really so unbearable. But the cicadas are everywhere at this time of year, and like at high noon when you come out, it's absolutely deafening. I think they are, well, I know they're native to this area, but I've also seen on other films and things where they're in Italy, they're in other countries. So it might be just like the latitude where I live, or maybe the humidity coupled with, just where we are. But you can hear them in the distant trees on the other side of my neighborhood. And like I said, it really is, to me, a noise that triggers a sadness. Now, I can't link that to anything at all. I really can't link it to anything. But last year, I know I was talking to my mom about it, and she says, I wonder if it's the cicadas that are triggering just the deep heat. We're right in the middle of our southern heat. And, it could just trigger something in me that that just brings out those sad feelings, emotional feelings. And years have gone by where I have taken this particular time of year, even though it's the hottest time of the year, and to combat the melancholy, to combat the fatigue that's almost like an induced depression fatigue, to combat the brain fog that goes along with like a seasonal affective disorder. I have actually set aside 2 weeks in the dead of our summer to work in my garage outside to reorganize it. And my garage needs reorganizing just about every 2 years. Somebody goes out there, I don't know if it's little elves or, little goblins or whatever they are, seem to go to my garage and disorganize it. And sometimes trash it. Sometimes just basically everything is turned upside down and it's not a functional space, even though we do lots of stuff in the garage. So every year at this time, I guess for the last 5 years, I have set aside 2 weeks to just work all day long with electric fans and the high 90% humidity factor, and just do something that is positive, something that I can see some results from, something that I would not want to do, and something that, others certainly could do better than I, because I can't see anything. This year I haven't done it, but as I bolted out my door about 3 days ago, I made a decision. The cicadas were all chiming in like the chorus of the, I don't know, like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, I guess. The cicadas are just deafening. They really are deafening. And sometimes we can't sit out here because they're so loud. And I decided, okay, if I can't make the cicadas go away. I can't make that noise go away. The noise seems to trigger this emotional response that I have that lasts 2 to 4 to 6 weeks. So what can I change? And I decided the thing that I can change is how I feel about it. And I was thinking about feelings and imagery, because there's a lot of visual imagery in blindness. We kind of have to picture everything. And I decided, okay, I am going to make the cicadas pretty. I can't change the way they sound. They sound absolutely awful. I'm scared of creatures like that. So that's one thing. That's like a phobia. I don't like frogs. I don't like crickets. I don't like grasshoppers. And cicadas, because I can't see, all I can imagine is some creature that looks like a mixture of those 3 things. And then to add to it that they are so loud that they have to be just dominating, like locusts, I guess. So about 3 days ago, I decided I'm going to change the way I think of cicadas. And I sat for a few minutes on my front porch and I thought, what is my most powerful ability? And my most powerful ability, I think, is my brain imagery, my ability to see in my brain where I can't see physically. So I decided, what would happen if I turn those evil cicadas into something that is really visually pretty. So I sat and I thought a minute, and I decided I'm going to turn the cicadas, the sound that I hear, and the imaginary creatures that are so ugly, I'm going to turn that into something that's pretty. And in my world, color is pretty. And I decided that I was going to make the cicadas a palette of color. And every time I hear the cicadas, I'm going to attach a pretty, colorful rainbow to those individual cicadas. Now, this probably sounds kind of crazy, but if you bear with me for a second, it might make sense. So, in my mind, I thought of my most favorite colors as I remember them in my head, and I've done videos about my color perception and my color memory, and it's phenomenal. I love it, and I enjoy it. So I can conjure up any color in my head I want to. So for the cicadas, I decided to conjure up the colors of yellow, one of my absolute favorite colors, a very, very pale white pastel pink, not a pinky pink, not a bubblegum pink, nothing with any red hints or tones to it, but a white pastel pink. And added to that, one of my favorite colors is blue violet, or like a periwinkle violet. It's a blue with just a touch of purple added to it, but it's just a very rich blue purple. And then intermingled with all that, I decided to add silver. And those were my four colors. I definitely eliminated envisioning the color of green, because I think cicadas might really be green. They're in the green things, like that big magnolia tree right there. They're in the grass, they're in the trees. That's enough green for me. I don't want any green imagery. I don't want any red, orange, or peachish imagery, because to me, those are hot colors. It is so hot here. I want to go just the opposite of that. And so the opposite of that to me would be a yellow, a blue. I really chose blue violet because I wanted to add that richness to contrast with the yellow, and to complement the pale pink, and to make it ethereal, I added silver. Now, to make it even more ethereal, I added sparkles to all of these colors, so they're kind of iridescent and sparkly. So I have practiced for the last 3 days seeing if this imagery works. And I am telling you that I have changed that horrid sound. To me, the cicadas naturally sound like fingernails on a chalkboard. That's what they sound like to me. And, or really worse, because they have such a high decibel that you just can't get them out of your head, out of your ears, out of your hearing. And so I thought, if I can't get rid of them, I'm going to add something really pretty to them. So I created a color palette, and I am now pretending that each time I hear the cicadas, they are emitting these beautiful, sparkly, iridescent colors. And the backdrops to all of those colors are the greenery in the trees, and on the grass, and I guess the thick, heavy, humid, hot air. But it's worked. So the point of this video is if you change the way you think of things, the things you think of change. And there's no better analogy for blindness and trying to live a sightless life. You know, when you can't do a thing about what your eyes don't see. You just can't do a thing about it. They don't see, they don't see. And there's nothing right now that's going to change that. So if you can change your mind about that thing that is upsetting, depressing, then the thing that is upsetting and depressing will change. And my experiment has worked. So I just wanted to share that with you, that has worked for me. I'm on day 4. I started this past Monday with the imagery. I'm on day 4, and it has absolutely worked. So now every time I hear the cicadas, I even went out yesterday and sat on my front porch so that I could hear the cicadas, because now the trigger of hearing them conjures up these beautiful, colorful things. They still don't have features, and that's fine. My visual detail is horrible anyway, so I don't want to see legs and an antennae and things like that. I just as soon not know what they look like. They're just sparkly, iridescent, ethereal, beautiful flickers of color everywhere I hear the sound. So if you don't think that I am absolutely bonkers after this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Tell me if you like this idea about changing the way you think of things. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. I've got lots of kinds of stuff. And please, above all, if you do nothing else, leave some comments, your ideas. Have you ever done this before? Have you ever mentally changed your mind so that you could feel a different way? I've got a couple of more examples. I'm not putting them in this video because this is strictly about my most recent venture with me and my colorful blind world. So I'll talk to you next time, everybody. Leave some comments. Bye-bye.